Welcome in to another Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
Hey, Wolves in 5, we're doing good.
Yeah,
We're doing great.
I was doubting it when you changed your pick after we did the podcast after game one, and you said you wanted to change it to Wolves in 5. I was a little hesitant, but now I say, why not? And we're this close to it. I will say it might be tough to win in LA. I think it's going to depend on how the Lakers come out, if they come out wanting to make a run or if they're content to just go to Cancun. But let's just start with this. And I know I said this on the post-game podcast that I did. That may be the best basketball game, any level, that I've seen live ever.
Yeah. I mean, it was magical. It was everything you want in a basketball game, like coming back from leads, getting out, like big plays, huge reviews. Now that's kind of a new thing in the thing where like it's a big video review and then it goes your way or it doesn't. Like I'm sure that swings the crowd in live. I haven't been to a live game when something like a review has been so important. I bet the energy was just crazy in there.
Oh, it was insane. I mean, Laker fans and Wolves fans, because obviously a lot of Laker fans, which makes sense. The Wolves have been bad for a long time, and a lot of people grew up as Kobe fans or Shaq fans. Maybe not the mid 2010s was that big of a draw, but it makes sense that there's a lot of Laker fans here. But man, it was just back and forth, so much emotion in that building. And Luka Doncic has even talked about it in post-game pressers. We have some, and I know every fan base says they have the best fans in the league, but I really think that's true here. And this is absolutely a basketball state, in my opinion.
For sure. I mean, it for sure is a basketball state. I mean, NFL is always going to kind of be king just because of what it is right now. But basketball is starting to take over for sure. And especially when they're winning. And the energy's there and it's exciting. It's a good time to be a Minnesota Timberwolves fan.
Absolutely. So the Wolves, like we're mentioning, they get the win 116-113 over the Los Angeles Lakers. And where we got to start for sure is with Anthony Edwards, a masterclass performance. And I saw a tweet from Kenny Beecham, who does a lot of stuff on YouTube. He's called the King of the Fourth Quarter. He said that may have been the best game Anthony Edwards has ever played. And Ant was amazing. I mean, now maybe he didn't score 50, but just his decision-making, his playmaking, his ability to read the defense and make the right read and play and know when he needed to attack, know when he needed to pass was masterful. That was a masterclass from Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, when you get 1 turnover and 6 assists out of your lead ball handler for the game, that's awesome. That means that he's not making careless turnovers. That's what he's been kind of plagued with just lately. I mean, lately, even just a handful of games ago. And then, he didn't score 50, but if you give me 43 points on 23 shots, like, holy cow, I'll take that over 50 on 35 shots or 40 shots, like most people when they get 50,
Right, exactly. And I want just to give a comparison. I did see Ant score 50 once in a meaningless game against, well, maybe not meaningless, but a middle of the road game against the Washington Wizards. This was not the same as that.
Right.
This was not like, remember when Cat scored 60? I bring it up all the time. Cat scored 60 points and we blow a 15-point lead to the Charlotte Hornets in the fourth quarter. Honestly, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to let that game go, but I'm going to try to.
Well, what's important about that, and even for fans to notice when those sorts of things happen, is sometimes statistics are just not really, they're hollow. Like you can have an amazing box score, but you might not have really done a lot. Whereas Anthony Edwards did a lot.
Yeah, and he was asked about it after the game, and I thought this was an interesting insight from him, which I didn't really think about. He said during the playoffs, you get a lot more time to read the game and watch more film. During the regular season, it's a lot of, okay, we just got to fly to the next city, play the next game. But he said he's had a lot more time to read more film, work with his conditioning coach and work with his coaches. And that's an interesting point by him, which maybe that's why we see such clutch play out of Anthony Edwards. I saw this tweet in clutch time numbers over the last 3 postseasons for Anthony Edwards. 13 games, 44 points, 58% from the field, 3 for 7 from 3, 12 for 12 from the free throw line, 8 assists, 2 turnovers, a plus 22. So maybe just playoff time, he gets a little more time to look back and reflect and think about what he's going to do for this game, not necessarily for a whole season.
Right. I mean, there's a lot to that. There's a lot of he sees so many different defenses every single night from each different team. They're throwing a different guy at him. It's got to be hard, and there's no way you can stay on top of that. I mean, you can, but you would have to be mentally really plugged in. Whereas, like you said, in the playoffs, he knows who's going to be defending him. He knows that when he gets by Luka, what type of defender is going to come on the help. Like, he knows it's going to be, this certain type of guy. So, like, he already knows probably the first and second step every play, same as Luka does, same as LeBron does. So he's getting to that level where he can see the game at those advanced points. And that's why he is that guy. Like, he, when you saw some other superstars that we've had on our roster, like even Kevin Garnett, I was lucky enough to be there, for his MVP run and stuff and his runs through the playoffs. His biggest knock was always in the fourth quarter. He would kind of disappear, or it was easy to take him out of the game. Same as Karl Anthony Towns. Anthony Edwards is different. Like, this guy is the fourth quarter guy. Like, he's the guy that wants the ball, and not only wants it, everyone says that, but he makes the shots and he makes the plays. We're watching something special right now, watching this kid develop.
We are. And remember, he's only 23. He's only 23 years old. That blows my mind every single day. In fact, he was being in the post-game press conference with Dante DiVincenzo. They asked him about Ant, and he was going on and on about Ant. And then he goes, man, this kid's amazing. You're only, 23? And Ant goes, yeah. And then he starts laughing a little bit. Dante does. But, I mean, it's just amazing what he's accomplished so far. And
fans need to really just enjoy this. I just want to say that. Like, this isn't going to come around all that often. So enjoy this kid's development.
I'm going to take a bold leap here and say we should have taken James Wiseman. I really think we should. We need a big man. We need a big man,
We could have paired him with Karl Anthony Towns. Like, who would have thought the double big man would work? It would have worked all along. We just, did it differently.
Could you imagine? But another guy that we got to talk about, speaking of Karl Anthony Towns, and let's be honest, as much as you want to avoid it, these two will always be linked. And I'm not going to compare Randall to what Karl Anthony Towns is doing this postseason. It doesn't matter. That's for the offseason. But so far this postseason, Julius Randle, 47% from the field, 45% from 3, and a plus 24 so far. 18 assists. So I would say, just averaging that out, that's about 5 or 6 assists a game. But
he's a little under his season average in rebounds. He's about where he was in assists, and I think he's close to it in points. He's playing well. He for sure is playing well. What's really doing it is that 3-point shooting.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. That's what makes a Timberwolves win or lose, is if Jaden McDaniel and if Julius Randle can hit 3-pointers, because those are the guys that the defenses are playing off of to help out on, Gobert or help out on Anthony Edwards. Right. And traditionally throughout the season, those guys were under average 3-point shooters to bad 3-point shooters. And that's a win for the defense.
Right.
If those two guys can continue to shoot, a good rate, like even an average to above average rate, we're going to be hard to beat.
Oh, yeah. And another reason that we are going to be hard to beat for sure is just the Lakers have no one on the bench. They have Nobody on the bench. They have Dorian Finney-Smith was a nice grab at I think, close to the trade deadline. But other than that, Jared Vanderbilt isn't going to score for you. They're not playing Dalton Connect at all. And not even the bench, but Jackson Hayes comes in for 4 minutes, gets an alley-oop dunk, and then doesn't play the rest of the game. So,
yeah, they're an off season away from a roster that might be scary. You can't trade all NBA center for an all NBA point guard and expect the roster to be cohesive right away, mid-season.
Right.
So they've definitely got some shuffling to do. They've got a lot of dead weight, but we're doing what we have to do, and we're punishing this team and we're running them, and on to the next series almost.
I don't want to go that far because as we saw LeBron against the Golden State Warriors in the finals, I just want to get it done on Wednesday. And listening to the post-game presser, I think the team is all on that as well. They know it's going to be tough to win in LA, but they are not overlooking the Lakers whatsoever because you can't. Because particularly of LeBron's history and what Luka did to us last year, you can't take your foot off the pedal to the metal. And I tweeted about this. You can follow us at Running with the Timberwolves. But 3 stats that I think have been huge in this series. Total bench points, and this is total over the last 4 games. Total 112-51. On average, we're outscoring them 28-13 on bench points. The other one, points in the paint, total 195-134. We're outscoring them 49 on average to 34 on points in the paint. And then the big one, points off turnovers, which is historically, at least this season, something that the Timberwolves have done awful at, being a plus in points off turnovers. 78-42, averaging 20-11 advantage for the Wolves on points off turnovers. And that's just being scrappy. That's making the Lakers play at a pace that they don't want to play at.
Well, I mean, and there's two things that really stick out to me about what you said there. You said points in the paint and turnovers. And one guy that really hasn't been affecting probably either one of those is Rudy Gobert. So if he's not scoring points in the paint or really making turnovers, how are we doing that? And Jaden McDaniels in the paint has been everything you want him to be. I mean, that's my favorite Jaden McDaniels is 1 or 2 dribbles, finishing in the paint, finishing at the rim. I think he had 20 paint points in his big blow-up performance a couple games ago. He had that big play where Nas gets it in the paint and shuffles his hands enough to give him that bounce pass to Jaden, who dunks it in the and one. Like Jaden around the rim is my favorite Jaden. We've been finishing with that lineup now with Jaden and the 2 power forwards. I love it. I love what we're doing. And I think that's causing a lot of that turnovers is that same lineup where we're kind of shifting everything. We've got so many defenders out there for this Lakers team. I've talked about it on here a couple times, how Nas can defend, Luka can defend, LeBron, just because he has decent feet and a big body. And you saw it last game, how Nas stood up Luka, a couple times and really made it hard for him. So our team is built really well to stop this Laker team. Even when we have guys that aren't playing great, and we have guys that, like, I was expecting a lot more out of Dante. He hasn't even really shown up in these playoffs. I mean, shooting wise,
he has
right. Like like we've said all year, I love what the other stuff he does. I think that gets overlooked a lot, but I think it's shining in this playoffs because people can see it a lot more visible. But he hasn't blown up yet. He could easily go for 25 in multiple games. We have some sleeping giants on this team. We're not playing great, and we're almost going to do Wolves in 5.
Right. And you were mentioning Dante DiVincenzo. I know he hasn't been shooting well, but they were talking to Coach Finch about it. And he just said that, Dante, he's just scrappy. Like he just makes, which is true with Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jaden McDaniels and Anthony Edwards. They're just scrappy guys. They get after it. Dante DiVincenzo had 4 steals last game, and they just get after it, even if they're not shooting well. It's something to be said about a player. Even if you're not shooting well, you have to be in the court because you are just affecting the game that much. And I think that's definitely true for Donte DiVincenzo. And one thing before I pass it to you, the best, and it's not even close, the best offensive lineup so far in the playoffs, and it's not even close. Best offensive lineup: Ant, DiVincenzo, Jaden, Julius, and Naz. It's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lineup that we've kind of been saying all year should be our starters, or like we should push that lineup. I mentioned it. This is a series where I wouldn't start, Rudy Gobert, and people said that I was crazy. It's not that Rudy's not great. It's just I don't think that's the most effective lineup versus this team. But
particularly if they're going to take Jackson Hayes out 5 seconds in.
Yeah, exactly. Like if he's not really part of the deal,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean Dante's going to get going, and like you were saying, he's always in the right spot. Like sometimes the play doesn't go right. Like sometimes maybe he doesn't get the steal, and maybe it's a foul, or sometimes like it gets kicked out of bounds or whatever. But he's in the right play. He's in the right spot every time. He rotates to the right spot. He makes the pass that's always one. Like I've said this a couple of times, his passes always seem to be like one ahead of where I would expect it to be. Like he's thinking, one step ahead. It's something that I love to see. You were talking about the lineups. So if you look at in all of the playoffs, the entire NBA playoffs right now, and you go with, most used lineups. So the lineups that most guys are using, a lot of the successful ones, if you go by net rating, are like plus 20, plus 17 for like, a lot of the top teams. The Timberwolves right now are plus 53. Like that lineup is so powerful. I would love to see us start with it and just shut the door to, on Wednesday.
I would too. And we seem to see DiVincenzo coming in earlier and earlier each game. So it's almost inevitable. It's almost like Finch has like this thing where, I need to start Conley, but he's out pretty quick.
Almost like Hayes.
Yeah, right. For sure. The only difference is Conley does come in for a little bit after
for defensive purposes on LeBron James.
Right. Yep. For sure. And then, of course, we got to talk about everyone's favorite Timberwolf, Naz Reid. I mean, just bad all game, wasn't doing anything, and then instant offense off the bench in the fourth quarter. They get him the ball, little hook shot over the top, then he hits a three. Boom, we're back in the game. We're down 4. I mean, there are not many guys in the NBA that can just come off the bench, and we've been saying this for a long time, just come off the bench out of nowhere and be hot already. Like just be ready for the moment, and particularly in the fourth quarter. I mean, the stats for Naz Reid in the fourth quarter in this series are almost perfect. 26 points, 9 for 10 from the field, 6 for 6 from 3 in the fourth quarter. That's clutch. That's clutch right there. And should I mention it again? He was undrafted. Do I need to mention it again or not? Probably not, but
yeah, he's been everything we need him to be. At least in the end to end the games. I would love to see him truthfully be more impactful too. Like that's another guy that hasn't had his big. I mean, he's had moments, but he hasn't had a game yet where he's dropped 25 or 30. Like,
right,
he could be that guy too. Like we have guns that haven't fired yet, and we're up so well. Naz is special. His ability, like you said, to step off the pine and just hit 3-pointers is historic. Like I would love to see the numbers versus anybody in the history of the NBA at first shot makes off the bench. Like he's special. And that's one reason why he's great to have coming off the bench is that it doesn't matter to him. He comes in the game hot.
Right. And I just have a kind of a side question for you. Because obviously I was at the game, so I wasn't watching the broadcast. Were Doris Burke and Richard Jefferson really that bad? Or is that just people overreacting?
So I tend to not really pay much attention to what they talk about, and
Okay.
sometimes I don't even have it like the volume on really a lot
Sure.
when people are talking because I know what's happening, like I can see the game. So I
Right.
don't know. I didn't pay much attention to be
Okay.
fully
No,
honest.
no, that's okay. I just saw so many people like my friend texted me. He's like, "Oh, Doris Burke is almost crying because LeBron got the foul." I don't know if that's true, but
Well, like right at the end.
yeah.
No, well, because so everyone was saying no, it's not a foul for sure. It's not, and then we saw that top view,
Uh-huh.
that sky cam that I've never seen before. And right when they saw that, they were like, "Oh no, yeah, it's a foul." So yeah,
Uh-huh.
up until that point, they were pretty much on the Lakers side.
It looked in the arena, it looked pretty obvious to me. I don't know. But obviously it's on a really big screen, so and
From the
maybe I was a bit biased.
from the sky cam, it was obvious.
I don't know, just and maybe this is me just being a Wolves fan, but it looked like a foul the whole time to me.
Oh, because a hand
I-
is part of the ball. Remember, so if he hits
right.
just hand, it's okay.
Right. But I thought
It was
it looked
close.
like he hit wrist. Maybe it was
Yeah,
the
he
sky
did.
cam.
He did. And it was that top view where you're like, okay. No, that was a huge play. I mean, that could turn the series. That's how amazing the NBA is one a couple inches different and it's
Right.
a whole different series.
Right, and we do got to give the Lakers their due. They did come out and say that the should have been a foul on Jaden McDaniels on Luka. So that was announced. We'll give you that, Lakers. But hey,
Okay.
we've been screwed by that before too. So
Oh, everybody is.
yeah. Which now I don't want to eat crow on this, but I'm sure like if game 5, if there's a controversial call, I'll be mad at the refs as well, particularly if they come out and say they got the wrong call. It's just about what team you're playing for. But we as Wolves fans, we're not going to, I guess, dwell on it too
No.
much. So one thing I do want to mention, and they talked about this in the post-game presser as well with Coach Finch. Did you think there was too much pressuring or not pressuring, but double teaming of Luka up top, which led to open threes for the rest of the Lakers, particularly like Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura? Because it seemed like what they would do, they would force them to one side, double them. Luka would, particularly in the fourth quarter, Luka would throw behind the back pass to LeBron or whoever was up
Yeah,
top.
rotated.
Then one more, and then basically it's 1-on-2 on an island. So
Yeah, I mean it's
I almost think they got to adjust that a little bit.
it's a classic swing, open guy, open guy in the corner. Can he hit that shot? I mean, that's the NBA right now is when you have a guy like Luka Doncic who's averaging, 35 points a game in the series in 35 minutes, pretty much being unstoppable offensively. When it comes down to the last couple buckets of the game, you can't let him have the ball. So you have to get it out of his hands. So it ends up being swing if they move the ball fast enough, and you hope that the corner guy is Rui Hachimura and you hope that he shoots 30%.
Right,
Last game he shot 50%, so it was close. So
right.
it's just sort of the pick your poison part of the NBA because I mean if with one possession left, would you let Jaden McDaniels go one-on-one with Luka right now?
No,
So I mean you got to bring pressure, so then that leaves somebody. It just gets to be sticky.
right. I just don't think you can do it every time. I think you
You
got
got
to
to
mix up your coverages
switch
a
it
little
up.
bit and do different shows. If there was one thing you think the Wolves need to adjust, or maybe even a couple things that the Wolves need to adjust in game 5, what would be your biggest thing after these first 4 games?
Well, since we're up 4-1 right now, I wouldn't do anything really because I wouldn't show any hands that might trigger anything that for the coming series is. Uh so I would keep it as close as to the vest some of the stuff as I can unless we need to. But I would definitely look into not starting Mike Conley and Rudy going forward some. I would look into I've been saying this all the time like there's nobody on this Lakers roster that Jaden McDaniels can't defend in the post. Like, what center or what big for the Lakers are we afraid of Jaden not being able to handle?
Right.
So, like, if he can play center, now he's this active guy around the rim defensively. Now he's this active cutter offensively. Now he's getting 20 points in the paint. Like, that's the Jaden I love to see. I would like to see some of that. Unless we need Rudy. Like, if we're playing Zubac, yeah, give me some Rudy. If we're playing OKC, we're going to need Rudy.
Right.
I would like to see more inventive lineups like that. But I really want to see Dante get hot. Dante needs to get going, or else we're not going to go very far in the playoffs no matter what. Like, we're going to need him to be an impactful player, or else I don't think we're going to have enough bullets in our guns most nights.
Right. Yeah. By the way, rest in peace to the Miami Heat season. Let's just say Game 4 is not going well as we record this. I think that I'd have to do the math, but I'm pretty sure that the Cavaliers have doubled up the Miami Heat in the third quarter. It's something like, I think it's last I looked like 82-38. So
damn.
Tough way to go down if you're the Miami Heat. Just probably a season to forget for them. I guess your highlight is getting out of the play-in, but tough year for the Heat. Unless they come back, unless they have the biggest comeback in like probably the history of the playoffs, but I doubt that's going to happen.
I mean, Miami's not a bad place to go fishing, so good for them.
Right.
Good luck for the rest of the offseason.
So let's look at Game 5. Is it still Wolves in 5 until it ain't?
I think it might as well be. I think LeBron James knows how much effort he has to put in to bring a team back from 3-1. And I think he also knows that he doesn't have that in him anymore, especially after playing 46 of 48 possible minutes last night. I think it's going to be Wolves. I think we're going to even play better because now we're playing loose. And, I love a Wolves team that, is playing loose. So we'll see. I think we're going to see Jaden McDaniels hopefully keep attacking. That's what I want to see him do. No more 3-point. There are not as many 3-point shots unless it's like a wide open, kind of in rhythm. But if he can attack that defense and make them play defense at the rim, I want to see that. Dante, give me 15 points and Wolves in 5.
Let's do it. I said Wolves in 7. I'm gonna say Wolves in 5 now. I love it. Okay. Man, I would love to go to LA and finish it. I want to be carefree on Friday. I don't want to have a single care in the world on Friday. But if that's what we have to do, if we got to do it at the crib, then that's what we'll do.
Let's do it.
And this is the Running with the Timberwolves podcast on the Believe Sports Network. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
No problem.
And make sure to give us a like, share, and subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and or Apple, and stick with us all throughout the playoffs. I'm hoping. It depends how late the game goes, but I'm going to try to do a post-game podcast after Game 5, win or lose. We will see, but make sure to keep it tuned to Running with the Timberwolves. And as always, go Wolves, Wolves in 5.